that they have renewed contact human beings at this time because of the times that are coming. Contacts with the precision.
Says I am I'm quite and I'm web on the Ooh.
My name's Tom. I invented the dice. I'm a construction contracts manager.
It's 4 p.m. With only 2 hours of daylight remaining, the men's priority has to be finding a safe place to shelter for the night. If they can't, they'll have to sleep rough on the jungle floor, alongside potentially deadly scorpions, snakes, and caiman crocodiles.
We're assuming that the north side of the island would be nice, beachy, sandy, flat seas.
Paul thinks the group's best option is a beach.
Let's go.
And he's convinced they have time to cross the island to find one before dark.
Who else was imagining sunny beaches when they thought about coming out here?
These trees here are very sharp.
Ah! There you go. I believe it will now be referred to as the porcupine tree. Vicious.
The interior of the island is 3 square kilometres of mangrove swamp and unbroken jungle. And I know from experience that moving through dense island undergrowth is slow, exhausting work. You'll do all you can to stop you in your tracks. And often the harder you push, the harder it pushes back.
William, stop!
There's a snake down here. It's a blower, isn't it? Take its head off. It's a decent size, mate. Get stuck in.
Is anyone going to help me? I'm trying to carry a bag and a machete and kill a snake. We're looking pretty rich.
Why you running from me? Suck it while he coming. When I do my little dance, get the Kelly and the Birkin.
I don't really believe there's a lot of opportunities that I would have ever
He's coiling, isn't he?
Need a long stick just to put on its head. Mind your... No, don't do that, for fuck's sake.
Listen, should we just throw this case on it?
No.
Part of me thinks, should we just leave it?
Didn't even flinch, did it?
Yeah, let's keep going.
If we don't get out of this shrub, we're going to be sleeping here tonight. It ain't safe and it's not cool.
With just an hour to go until nightfall, the men have covered barely 400 metres.
Paul! Yes?
You want to come and get a drink?
The darker it's getting, the more it's getting a little bit worrying.
Jump on it when you go.
Somehow I've fallen into chief navigator mode, but I'm on it.
My days are very stressful. It really doesn't fucking matter. I don't give a fuck. A lot of the time I think that most people are fucking idiots.
Just get that load out, get that load out. You can't build the internal walls anyway.
Being called a bastard is just a friendly greeting in the building industry.
Talk about important things, you know.
That's straight.
Things that are going on in the country.
Fruit.
it done.
This is amazing.
I found the sea. Ah. Ah. Ah.
Tactical beach! Come on! We're for it! Come on!
Booyah!
Beach!
Pina coladas.
That's the hardest thing I've done.
Shit, I never thought I'd be so happy to see the beach in my entire life.
Well done, mate. Well done. Nice one, mate.
Never doubted myself. No, but never underestimate your own ability.
The sun's just beginning to set, so we're just in time. And everyone is in such a hurry right now.
That's a whale! That's a whale!
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. I'm stood here watching the sunset and there's whales swimming past us. Pretty cool. Don't get that often, do you?
Yeah.
16 hours ago, I dropped 14 ordinary British men on a remote desert island.
Sex for me.
They've spent their first night on the beach with no shelter.
It's not really shit. Oh, what have we done?
You ever get that realisation you've done something you didn't quite think all the way through?
At one point, I was shitting and we only got washed away. I was like,
Did you get that close?
I mean, what about you can see the line, mate. You can see the line. The line's what? 3 foot away from where we were. Look at that rubbish on this beach. Has anyone found a left shoe?
Yeah, but these, I'm not too sure if I'm going to go for these.
What? Oh, you!
Bit last season.
Hey, lad, look. Found it. Pink pair. These are bloody comfy. Look at these bad boys.
This is the male version.
The men came onto the island with just a day's supply of drinking water.
Mouthfuls.
But after yesterday's arduous trek in 34-degree heat, it's all but gone.
Tropical storm season, really, there shouldn't be any shortage of water on the island. And obviously rain itself is drinkable without purification. But once it hits the ground, it becomes contaminated. All sorts of bacteria and nasties there. From experience, I can tell you, animals aren't fussy about where they crap.
Oh my god. That crap that's in there. It's fucking horrible.
Without boiling, this rancid water would almost certainly give the men stomach cramps and diarrhea.
It's not salty, but...
I'll tell you what, I've had hangover shits that smell better than that.
Guys, can we... Why don't we all kind of gather in and have some sort of conflict like what we're going to do today?
Yeah, I think that might be a very good idea, kids.
Go on, guys, gather round.
Right, plan of action, lads.
Yeah, we 100% need to try and make a fire now.
If we don't make a fire and something to boil new water, we are going to be in bad shape by tomorrow morning.
Food is becoming a priority very quickly for a lot of people.
We're going to have to get something substantial to eat fairly soon.
Good grammar and spelling are important, but if you want to write essays that inspire, messages that forge brighter connections, and emails that get the job done, you need to think about more than just grammar and spelling. This sentence is grammatically correct, but it's wordy and hard to read. It undermines the writer's message, and the word choice is bland. Grammarly's cutting-edge technology helps you craft compelling, understandable writing that makes an impact on your reader. Much better. Grammarly works where you work, on your computer or your phone. Imagine what you could do with the secrets of the world's best writers at your fingertips, anytime you need them. Are you ready to give it a try? Installation is simple and free. Visit Grammarly.com today.
Next pillow. Why do we make our pillow in the shape of a cube? I'll tell you. The problem with pillows is that you're trying to fit a round peg into a square hole, or rather a pillow-shaped peg into a shoulder-shaped hole. This is Sydney.
Hello.
Look at the space between your head and your shoulder. It's a square. None of these rounded pillows are going to fit that space.
What, Nick? He don't be playing. Bronx, what you doing? Nigga, I just got a YouTube notification. I gotta let these motherfuckers know I was here first. Send. Now, what you were saying? Oh yeah, I just had to be first every time. If I'm not first, it ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Everything else is uncivilized. Sure appreciate the homies stopping by. Bronx say I don't even gotta stay in the stream. I ain't come to watch. I just come to let everybody know I was here, and I was here first. But this is a very true statement. He has the first comment. First comment of the stream, like always. That's all it is, bro. Second place, the first loser. You know what I'm saying? You're just the first loser, bro. Did you win? No, I came in second. That means you lost. How your day going, bro? I'm feeling kind of stuffy. I went for a little walk. Got that pollen and shit outside right now. Got off work, stopped by the grocery store to pick up like just a few things for dinner tonight. Then I walked the dog. Walked the dog for a good minute today, bro, just because it was so fucking nice out, man. I went outside with a tank top on for the first time. Like, it's nice as shit out today. It's like almost 70 degrees. And I'm hoping the weather gonna stay like this, because I'm ready to turn my fucking heat off. Well, I've been heating this house since fucking November, December, January, February, March. That's 6 months out the fucking year I had my heat on. Half the year, I gotta keep the fucking heat on in the house. That's crazy. I got COVID. My nose is stuffy. Nigga, that's pollen. It's called hay fever. It's called allergy season. My throat scratchy. Nigga, you probably got a cold. It feel like COVID. How you know what COVID feel like? I got a temperature and body aches. It's called the flu. You don't even see commercials for cold and flu medicine like Theraflu or Emergency. Yo, those commercials used to play all through. Yo. Bruh, it's conspiracy. I mean, I don't watch TV like that. And then when I do watch TV, it's like apps now. You know, HBO app or Netflix. So you don't catch a lot of commercials. But I honestly cannot remember the last time I seen a commercial for like over-the-counter cold and flu medicine. Because they don't want you to think you got the flu or a cold and just hype up on some vitamin C and some vitamin B. Nah, if you're feeling bad, you got COVID. Bro, I just thought about that shit, yo. Emergency, Theraflu, NyQuil, cold and flu. Like, you don't be seeing no commercials for none of that shit no more. Damn, now I want to do a Facebook survey. Has anybody seen a commercial for over-the-counter cold and flu medicine like NyQuil or Theraflu? What? Did your job force you to get that? Bro, I'm just... Nobody ain't forced you to do it. You gotta kill it because it was free, and they gave you a lollipop. Bro, I'm seeing shit. I ain't gonna lie. Ain't nothing right there, but I could have swore I just saw my dog walk past the door. Not unless she came upstairs and just ran back downstairs. What I would have heard her run downstairs, and I didn't hear anything. I could have swore I just saw something. Anyway, nigga over here tripping. Yeah, so I work for a nonprofit organization. We serve the community, and we do vaccine drives. And we've had the COVID-19 vaccine at my at our facility for free to the community for people who want to take it. And I sat there and watch all the medical staff shoot people up with that shit, just like, And we had to email like 2 days before they came, and they said anybody who wants the COVID shot, you can get it before we let the public know, before we let the community know, hey, we have vaccines here. There's like anybody on the staff, y'all got first dibs. I'm good. I'm fine. Just give me the lollipop, nigga. I don't like shots. I don't want no shot. I just want a lollipop. You feel me? But I was scrolling through some Facebook just now, and I just seen some weird ass shit, bro. My bad. Yo. Just looking through. Come on, man. I'm not getting this joke. Don't want to be the Neil Armstrong of vaccines. Be the first to try it? I mean, they already started to pulled the one Jones from the market. Like, basically, this shit is clinical trials, man. It's a government emergency vaccines. That's why they're letting people take this shit now, because it's like some kind of authorized emergency pandemic plan that the government can implement so they can push this shit faster. But technically, all this shit is still in trial phases. Like, who's ever getting this vaccine, if you get that shit today, it's still trials. Like, they don't really know how this shit working. They still trying to tweak this motherfucker and see what's the best combination of components for this shit. And man, fuck that, bro. It take years. It take years to fucking get a vaccine down pat. You can do that shit in fucking 9 months, 10 months. And then you got people skin falling off. Motherfuckers getting blood clots. Motherfuckers having seizures off of this shit. I'm good, man. I take my multivitamin. Take my walks in the afternoon. Make sure I get 15, 20 minutes of sunlight. Drink my water. Exercise. It is a rabbit hole, bro. But the thing is, I've never taken vaccines. Not willingly. Like, I've never taken them, so I don't see the point in taking it. Even when you do the mainstream science and the demographics of people the virus is supposed to affect the most and impact the most with life-threatening consequences are elderly, overweight people. Younger people who are healthy and in shape can still contract the virus, but more than likely you'll just beat it down like the regular flu and just get over this shit. Even kids, they say kids are walking around and don't even know that they're carriers because their immune systems are so strong and so robust that they don't even know they're sick. They're not showing symptoms of carrying the virus. So once again, I feel like I eat a pretty balanced diet. I do make sure I get fruits and vegetables in my diet. I do drink water. One of my worst habits is I smoke. And I am pretty addicted to sugar. I think those are my two major habits, yo, is smoking and sugar. I swear I'm surprised I ain't got diabetes yet, but I've been trying to cut down on. That's why I'm just saying. I'm surprised I still got all my teeth. You know what I'm saying? Like, I eat sugar, man. I consume that shit. I hate that shit about me, bro. I love fucking sweet shit. But even all that, I still feel like I'm in that bracket, in that high risk group. I don't feel like I'm there, so I'm not gonna cautions. You might catch it. Nah, I'll just eat a salad and go sunbathe real quick. Let that sun seep into your skin, man. Eat some greens, you be alright. Eat some leafy greens, man. Some turnips, some collard greens, some mustards, some spinach, some okras. You know what I'm saying? Green shit like that, yo.
Done. Shall we dance, sir?
Let's
go.
The men decide to split, having eaten nothing since they arrived. The majority of the group head off to look for food, while engineer Dan and builder Andy take on the fire lighting.
It's quite a lot of pressure to get this fire going.
Go down, I'm up, yeah. Right, to me. Awesome.
That is not an ideal start, is it? Not in one stroke. Oh, lads. I shot my load.
Round about here, there's about 6, maybe 10.
Buck, what's up? Man, pup, buck. That's a pretty interesting name. I'm gonna roll with that shit. I kind of like that shit. Man, pup, buck. You know what I'm saying? If you say it fast, it sound like you speaking Japanese, man. Man, puck, buck. What? Konnichiwa? Man, puck, buck. Beer in the joint. Ooh. I'm on that grown man this afternoon, son. Got that tequila. I got some tequila. I got some tequila. Want to do some coke? I got some coke. I got some tequila. You know what movie that come from? Let me see. I don't know why I want to see this scene so bad. You talking about maybe later. No, that comes from a scene in a movie. Damn, I can't find one scene in the movie where she's like, you want to do some coke? Come on, let's go back in the house. I got some tequila. Oh my God. What movie? I ain't gonna lie, yo. This movie is so obscure, but it's the weirdest thing about this movie is it has a all-star cast. The cast is all A-list celebrities, all A-list actors, and nobody knows about this fucking movie, bro. Like, my homie introduced me to it like years ago when it first came out. I've never, ever, ever in my life had anybody else say, oh, have you seen this movie? Like, I'm the only person who goes out and asks other people, you seen this movie? You ever seen this movie? You ever seen this movie? You know who Robert Downey Jr. is? You know who Woody Harrelson is? You know who Keanu Reeves is? Yo, all these motherfuckers in the movie. And nobody don't even know about this movie, bro. Play. Oh, I turned the sound off. Yo, why is my computer fucking acting all weird like this, yo. Fucking turn the sound back on. Oh my god. It act like you wouldn't do it on the big screen, on large screen for some reason.
Wait! Please! Please wait. I didn't mean, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I'm just so out of it right now. Sometimes after I've worked really hard all day, please come back. Come on. The tequila.
We got tequila.
How much do you do?
Not that much. I don't shoot up. It never happened. It never will. Once you start shooting out, like 6 months, maybe. And even tap water, you get a habit.
You have a habit.
We all do. I mean, so what? What's the difference? I'm happy. Aren't you happy?
Listen to me. I think it's starting to get bad.
Please come back. Come on. The tequila.
We got tequila. Come on, let's do some coke. We got tequila. How much do you do? Not that much. And I never shoot up. Once you shoot up, 6 months max, you know? Then she start wiping her nose. You know what? You already got a habit. Yo, this movie is fucking stupid, bro. We got tequila. I'll never forget. It's just something about the way she says that shit. Yo, that shit fucking trips me out every time. Cause he about to bounce. And she's like, no, come stay. Let's go get drunk. Boozy. What a doozy. Y'all don't know them. Y'all ain't ever seen this movie, man? Anybody seen this movie? I gave you 15 cool points.
Smaller jets that will compensate for attack. Just watches RPMs so it didn't overrev. Usually just backing off on the gas pedal causes it to upshift. The automatic linkage doesn't do it.
What do you grease bumpers up to?
Bob's got a bent choke shaft. How much does this Impala weigh?
Weighs about 1,000 pounds.
All right, 1,000 pounds, traveling at 80 miles per hour, and built up a force.
That's 1,000 pounds with passengers and a full tank of gas.
For a fact, okay.
How many passengers?
This motherfucker think he know everything, bro. Why you
No, it's 11 in the back.
Hey, bro.
Driver's sitting alone.
Bruh, you don't know everything, Mr. Know-It-All. Damn. You talking about that movie dope. That movie ain't dope, man. That movie is fucking genius, man. Movie is fucking... Bro, they filmed the whole movie. And then gave it to an animation studio. And then these motherfuckers drew on top of the whole fucking movie, scene for scene, frame for frame. Yo, and added like extra shit in there. It's just like... Yo, I got Alex Jones in this shit, yo. He gets kidnapped by the Men in Black, yo. It's all... Yo. Yo. Don't play, bro. That shit'll never leave my collection. So much so, my next still life. We got tequila. $2018? No, that shit older than that, yo. $2006. Yeah, 2006, bro. This movie old. Written by Philip K. Dick. Well, it was based on a book written by Philip K. Dick. We all know a lot of his other stuff, but we don't know who he is. He wrote Total Recall. Y'all remember that movie back in the day? Didn't they remake Total Recall? I don't think I seen a remake, but the original movie had Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. That was a Philip K. Dick. It was based on a Philip K. Dick novel. Minority Report with Tom Cruise. Y'all remember that movie? That was based on a Philip K. Dick novel. And A Scanner Darkly, based on the Philip K. Dick novel. There's another movie called Screamers. That was based on a Philip K. Dick novel. Like his writings was crazy, yo. I've never read one of his books, but like after watching this movie, I had to do like research, like where the fuck this shit come from. And I watched like an interview with his daughter. Like motherfucker was kind of like crazy a little bit, and that's why he wrote the shit he wrote. Like if you remember these movies, all these movies got like motherfuckers going crazy in that shit. Yo, like are having some real crazy ass shit happen. In A Scanner Darkly, the main character kind of go crazy. In Total Recall, the main character kind of go crazy. In fucking Minority Report, just the simple fact that you got thought crimes where you can be in a motherfucker thoughts and you can't even think bad shit. Like this motherfucker's always on some. He said the remake was lame. Motherfuckers just always on some other shit, yo. Like Minority Report was some crazy shit, yo. And these are old books. Like he was writing this shit like in the 60s. Like in the 60s and 70s, he was writing this shit, yo. But then when you think about it, it's like, motherfucker, yo, some of the scenarios is just crazy as fuck, yo. Who's seen these other movies though? You know what I'm saying? You ever seen Ghost? Bruh, you see the VHS, nigga? I've had this Ghost in the Shell and Akira VHS. These are my own personal shit that I've had since a teenager, bro. These shit's been with me for 20 years. I swear to God, yo. I be trying to hold on to those shits, man. I think those shits may be collector's items one day. The Man in the High Castle. You just taught me that shit. I did not know that. I seen the previews of that shit when it came out. That was like some years ago too. That's nothing really recent. I remember that shit was 5 years or better. Yeah, the Man in the High Castle. That was a few years back when I saw those previews for that. I didn't know that was Philip K. Dick, yo. Now, I must watch that. I must watch it. Yo, that Akira. Yo, I was watching on Netflix. There's a interactive episode of Black Mirror. Who's played that shit, yo? It's called Black Mirror whatever, but you make decisions throughout the episode. And in one scene, it's about some game developers. And in one scene, the guys are in a room and like at the gaming studio, and they have posters and stuff on the wall. Now, if I'm not mistaken, they never show the top of the poster, but like if you look real close, you see this little shining bubble. It's like a circle. It's an explosion is what's happening right there on that side of the VHS. It's like that little dome with the glow underneath it. Like that's all you could see on the poster that was in the room. You just saw this portion. And I was like, that's Akira, yo. Like, that's all I had to see, because they never show you the rest of the poster. You don't see the words or the lettering. You just see the bottom half, and it's just this dome, this black dome with this light coming. I was like, motherfucker sitting in front of a goddamn Akira poster. Can't fool me, nigga. I be picking up on them little Easter eggs like that, yo. I seen that shit. You can't do that. You can't. Well, you can. You can do it because they both did originate from mangas that were turned into movies. But then that's where Akira left off. It was just this standalone movie. But Ghost in the Shell went into like 3 or 4, 5 different iterations of the TV show and different movies and but if you take everything else away and you just base it on the two, like the original Ghost in the Shell movie and Akira, bro, this is like trying to say, oh, which one of your children do you like the best? What the fuck kind of question is that, bro? What the fuck kind of question is this, Boozy? What the hell? See, no. I'm gonna have to say Ghost in the Shell, man. I gotta say Ghost in the Shell. I say Akira. I almost cried trying to make that decision just now. I think my eyes are tearing up because I ain't want to disrespect Akira. But damn, ain't nobody never asked me that shit. That's why I keep both of them. I ain't got to choose. I got both of them. I don't got to choose. I get it, man. For me, it's the guns, yo. It's the guns. I ain't gonna lie. That's like one of the main factors for me. It's like the guns, the action. There's more gunplay in Ghost in the Shell, yo. But the message in Akira, I had to watch that shit like 1,000 fucking times, and the message is still kind of vague. The one line where they say, what if an amoeba had the power of a human? What if an amoeba had the power of a human? Now scale that up. It's like, could you even control that shit? Or what would you do with it? With that much power? Kaneda! Tetsuo! Yo, that's about shit, yo. See, now I might have to just watch both of them movies this weekend. Like, fuck it, yo. I watch both of them. Both of them boys said both of them boys said Cure. It's all good, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm riding my Ghost in the Shell, man. I own everything Ghost in the Shell. Hot off the press. So these are my next two paintings I'll be working on, cause we got finished with this. Yes, sir. We got done with this one. Motherfuckers in a biker gang. They gotta worry about the gangs, the cops, and on top of that, they still kinda trying to stay in school, but that shit ain't working out. Discipline, 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 dismissed. All right, my bad. Hold on. All right. Scanner darkly. And this right here says a scanner darkly explained. Keanu Reeves' most underrated film.
What does a scanner see? Into the head? Into the heart? Does it see into me?
Reeves, master air guitarist, gun-fu extraordinaire, and the internet's boyfriend. But in spite of these titles, Keanu Reeves has built up an impressive catalog of more nuanced performances that have slipped under the radar of many moviegoers. One of these hidden gems, and one of my personal favorites, is the 2006 drug-induced sci-fi thriller, A Scanner Darkly, a film with a plot as bizarre as its style of animation. For those who haven't seen A Scanner Darkly, I'm going to give a brief, spoiler-free summary and describe the technique used to create it before digging into an analysis of the themes of the film. A Scanner Darkly, based on Philip K. Dick's novel of the same name, is a maze of a film that deals heavily with the complex issues of drug abuse, identity, and authoritarianism. The film takes place in a not-so-distant future where 20% of the population are addicted to a new drug called Substance D.
Substance D?
In response, the government has developed an invasive surveillance system to crack down on the growing epidemic. Caught up in this complicated scheme is Bob Archer, an undercover cop who has become addicted to Substance D and struggles to maintain control as he unravels throughout the film. The movie stars Keanu Reeves, Robert Downey Jr., Winona Ryder, Woody Harrelson, and Rory Cochrane. A Scanner Darkly was animated using a technique called interpolated rotoscoping, a method where the film is shot on a traditional camera before being fed into a vector-based program and digitally traced. Director Richard Linklater has described the resulting product as akin to a lucid dream. Traditional rotoscoping goes all the way back to 1915, when animators would trace on top of footage frame by frame. The technique has been used by various studios, but perhaps the most popularized was when Disney adopted the technique for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and many of their following classic films. Since then, rotoscoping has made its way into all sorts of popular media we see today, including Tron, the lightsabers in Star Wars, and even as part of creating Gollum for Lord of the Rings. What makes A Scanner Darkly stand out from the rest of these films is that rotoscoping was not just an effect, but it served as the main visual element in creating an immersive, drug-addled world for the viewer to get lost in. At this point, we're heading into spoiler territory, so if you haven't seen A Scanner Darkly, definitely check it out. You won't regret it, and if you do, you can yell at me in the comments. There's a lot to keep track of in this film, so let's start with the main characters. First, as I mentioned before, there is Bob Archer, an undercover cop who goes by a few different names throughout the film. There is Donna Hawthorne, Bob's semi-love interest and drug dealer. Like Bob, we find out that she also goes by a few different names. We'll come back to that later. Then we have Bob's druggy friends who live with him. There is James Barris, who is conniving, manipulative, and strangely intellectual at times. We also have Ernie Luckman, the spacey, erratic, and lackadaisical surfer dude in the group. And then last, we have Charles Freck, the character who represents the most devastating effects of Substance D. There is some irony that his friends physically distance themselves from Freck throughout the film, while ignoring that they are cognitively moving closer to becoming him. By now you can probably tell that the most obvious theme in this film is drug abuse. In order to understand the significance of this theme, we have to first take a look at the author, Philip K. Dick. Dick considered this novel a fictionalized autobiography based on his experiences in the 1970s drug culture. After his wife left him in 1970, he coped with the emptiness of his home by letting in people off the street to live semi-communally with him. The characters we see in the movie are amalgamations of the young people in this group. For example, Donna was based on a girl with whom Dick had developed a close friendship. Bob Archer's character stands in for Philip K. Dick himself, a man trying to keep it together, but slowly falling apart. Dick had used amphetamines over the years to help increase his writing productivity, but during this time, he became fully dependent and stopped writing altogether. At some point during this period, his home was burglarized, which inspired a scene we see in the movie. In 1972, Dick was invited to give a speech at a science fiction convention in Vancouver. He remained in Vancouver for a short while after engaging in a brief relationship with the woman.
I don't know who that is, yo.
After she broke off the relationship, Dick attempted suicide. From there, he decided to go into a recovery program called X-Calais, which has been described by one Philip K. Dick biographer as a de facto cult. The term Calais comes from the Northwest Native American Kwakiutl tribe, meaning path. Founder David Berner added the X and determined Escalade to mean unknown path. It was in this recovery program that Philip K. Dick formed the idea of New Path, the corrupt drug recovery foundation that treats people addicted to the same drug it secretly manufactures and distributes. One could infer that Dick may have borrowed this idea from the allegations that the CIA was involved with heroin trafficking in Laos between 1961 and 1975. In A Scanner Darkly, the fictional drug Substance D is not just a reference to heroin or amphetamines. Instead, it is a stand-in for all drugs, so that the story may apply to all people struggling with addiction, not just a select few struggling with a select...
I didn't know he was the man behind all this shit, bro. Fritz the Cat. I be trying to get people to watch that shit. They don't want to watch it because it's a cartoon with a cat, but... oh well. Wizards. That shit was fucking dope as shit. Never seen Coonskin. Cool World, of course, everybody's seeing that shit. Heavy Traffic is another one. It's Heavy Traffic and Fritz the Cats. They're like some of the older ones, yo, if I'm not mistaken. Oh yeah, it says the date right there, 1972 and 1973. So it's hard for people to kind of get into those because it's like older, I guess, but American Pop, that shit was crazy. Saw that shit. Hey, Good Looking. Didn't see that shit, yo. Fire and Ice, saw that. Cool and the Crazy. I don't think I saw that shit. Last Days of Coney Island. Didn't see that shit. I seen that old Lord of the Rings movie, of course. Frazetta? I never saw that shit. I don't think. Damn, not Mighty Mouse. Oh my god. Here he comes. You know how to go, man. Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse. Yeah, I feel old as fuck, son. I feel old as fuck. Shit. This nigga's old. This nigga's. You know you're a movie buff when you call names like that, yo. Know you a movie buff. I've seen all that shit. That's how old that shit is? 81? Then how the hell I know about that shit, y'all? That's the same year I was fucking born.
I'm gonna be okay. Alright.
You're not on camera right here.
I look where?
You're not on camera. The camera's here.
I'm a little slow. My bad. What's good, Boozy?
Yeah, I met this one lady, yo. She had some art at this gallery I was a part of, and she was a part of that group of artists, yo, who helped do some of the drawings for the original Lord of the Rings. I forgot her name, yo. She just died a little while ago too. But when I met her, she was already in her 90s, yo. She was like 96 years old. But she had some of like the original sketches and concept art from like that Lord of the Rings movie. I was like, what the fuck, yo?
That's nice, babe. It's big. I didn't know you was gonna do it that big. I like it though.
Yeah, I'll probably do yours that big, except long
Other
ways.
way, yeah. I'm with that. I like that a lot.
I really want to find it.
Everybody's like, oh, does your boyfriend do paintings? I'm like, yeah, and he gonna break your pockets, but come with the money. Every time I ask, I'm like, he's not doing nothing for less than this. They be like, oh,
Tired of
okay,
searching
I'm
for
hitting
the lowest
the...
service prices?
Get your
We'll make
coins
it
up,
easy.
sis.
Hey,
Get your
Jeff Paul,
coins
Tornadoes.
up. You ain't fucking with no cheap motherfucker. You want a cheap thing, go get you a little character picture from one of them people on the side of the street.
Yeah. That's what I be trying to tell people, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Shit not cheap.
But you'll have it forever. It's a good investment.
Then we just having a debate on Facebook. Somebody in the little art group I'm in, like, which one's better, oils or acrylics? Somebody was like, they're the same. I'm like, bro, they're not the fucking same, bro.
I mean, I don't know that I see a lot of people using acrylics.
A lot of people do use acrylics, but that's my point. I'm like, acrylics are cool, but if you look at the art collections from the most prestigious artists that are housed and held in the most prestigious museums, the majority of them are oil paintings.
Well, that's why I was saying just my personal experience. Like, before I met you, I've only bought one piece of art from my friend who actually went to MICA, the art school in Baltimore. And he did a painting for me, and it was an oil painting. That was a small canvas, and he gave me the friends and family discount, but, like, I paid, like, one something, and this was, like, several years ago, and he was still in school, so. But, like, even then, it was an oil painting.
Yeah.
And to this day, I still have that shit at my mom's house, and it still looks good.
Yep.
And it was probably her favorite gift she ever got, because I got her a painting of me and my brothers when we were kids, and I was sitting on their laps, like, one leg on this one leg on that one. Yeah. The guy Moses made that shit for my... I mean, and of course, could have been better, maybe, but he used a blurry-ass picture, and like I said, that's her favorite gift I ever got her was a painting. She'll never talk about the purses I buy her, clothes, but like that art I bought her, she will never forget that. And when she dies, I'll have it. And when I die, you know, it'll get passed on to my niece or my nephew or somebody.
And that's what happens to good art, yo. It becomes like a family heirloom. You just get rid of that shit.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I wouldn't even something like that. I don't care if I was famous tomorrow. I still wouldn't sell it unless it like I could sell it for like $1 billion and then give some money to charity or some crazy shit. But I wouldn't sell any art that I buy. I don't care how much it's worth. Cause bitch, I got it. Anyway, it's hot up here.
It
Hot
really
as shit
is.
up here. I'm like sweating right now.
I might lift the windows, yo.
Yeah, I'm like, it was cold this morning. Like, what the hell happened? I'm glad though.
Welcome to PA, nigga.
Look, one of my customers today, they live in Connecticut, and him and his wife were asking about the food in PA, and I was like, well...
Asking about the what?
The food in PA. And he was like, what are you near? I was like, you know, the office. He was like, oh, Scranton. He was like, what about Wilkes-Barre? I'm like, what you know about Wilkes-Barre? And then he said something about Arlington, Virginia, and how expensive it was. I'm like, oh, you're a very well-traveled person. But they got a beautiful kitchen, and I just had to set, like, you know, some stuff for them. But he was like, what's good in PA? Isn't there a lot of stuff? I'm like, well, you got the Planters Peanut. I'm like, if you like politics, you got Joe Biden. So I'm just going down the list.
Yo, when I was at the mechanics, they say they went on vacation to Virginia Beach, and they went to whatever place where the fucking ice cream cone was made. So that shit is out of the ice cream cone
It's
come
out of
Virginia, out of South Virginia, yo. And they say
apparently we're like the #1 place for pizza or something. I think.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how? Our pizza sucks.
If you go to Old Forge, it's right in between Scranton and like.
I was told Pizza Lovin'.
Somebody else
and something else they told me. I can't think of the name.
One of the ladies I work with in Scranton, she says
every time we go past it, we always say we're gonna try it.
She says when I want pizza, she's like, I drive all the way to Wilkes-Barre and get
Pizza Lovin'.
I'm like,
and that's the guy today who's the new guy who started, who happens to be a Gemini consequently, which is so funny. He said Pizza Lovin' and something else by the square that's really good. But I was just like, I don't know. Like, once you've had New York style pizza or like Chicago style pizza, PA ain't shit.
Not really. No.
I'm like, it don't even be real Italians making this shit.
No.
Just saying. Like, if we go get some Italian food, you think I want a regular American making that shit? Hell no. If I go to a Jamaican spot, you think I want an American person making it? Hell no. I want the auntie from Jamaica making my food, goddammit. It's definitely too hot for me. I'm up.
Sally should have been a star. The kid's a genius. But there were complications. Benny could have been famous, but life got in the way.
It ain't no use to sit and wonder why, baby.
Tony had a brush with success,
You the one who writes the songs? Don't you know there's nothing without you?
but had to let it go. I want you to play.
Yo, I'm gonna have to watch that shit again because I don't know. I remember back in the day, like when YouTube first got started, like everything was on that shit, yo. Everything. Like there was no. It was open range for anything though, like free movies and everything. And if I'm not mistaken, yo, once I watched Fritz the Cat, it must have been like a playlist with a lot of other shit in there. I remember watching all of that shit like right around the same time, cause I came across Fritz the Cat and then Heavy Traffic. Those are the first two I watched. And then I do remember watching American Pop, yeah. And just thinking like, yo, why aren't there more like American animated full-length feature films like this? Try to get this thing somewhat outlined. Start getting these things ready. Oh my god, I hate the lines. I feel like I should get a ruler out.
So police are quitting in record numbers. They're resigning across the country, and you know why? By and large, because of suspects like this.
Oh, y'all gonna kill me like Ma'Khia Bryant? No, she called y'all for help.
Let's come back.
What you talking about? Get your goofy ass. Okay, and you just said that on camera. This shit going viral.
Oh, really? Is it? I love. Yeah. By the way, is that a rap battle? Is that a cipher? Yeah. You go. Well, I don't know. You gonna stab somebody like her? No.
Hey, that police officer got fired, right? For saying that?
That guy right there?
Did he?
Yeah, he got fired. Right?
Oh, we need to look at that.
I have to double check, but I think he lost his job.
He should not. Control room. Right. What? Lost his job for saying you're gonna try and stab someone like she did?
Or she was.
If anything, that guy should be locked up for poor comebacks.
It's going viral.
It's funny how you can tell somebody's race just by their voice. You're going viral.
It's going viral.
And stab someone like she did? No. Hey,
No.
did you hear when I told that white motherfucker no?
I said no.
I said no.
That cop actually looks to be a person of color.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, of course.
Just a little bit.
That doesn't save him from old Uncle Sam taking his job, right?
Yeah.
Because it's open season. Didn't you? Hey, I don't know if you know this. Cops are hunting people of color.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't go outside.
Yeah,
ever.
That's
believe
all.
everything I see on TV.
Yeah.
When that cop, when the camera's not running, he's role playing, going, "Where's that pesky person of color?"
You gotta be dumb as to think if you're black, you getting hunted down. Like, you gotta be just a total shit. I mean, that guy in North Carolina, it's like he's been arrested how many times and he's not in jail?
Yeah, 30. Well, he did 2 years for 36 offenses.
Well, he doesn't. That sounds like black privilege to me. Yeah.
Well, he should. He was going
did.
viral because he's stupid as shit. No, I said it was going viral because I swatted his ass down with my comeback. No. And he was all like, I was like, bitch. 4-year-olds have better comebacks than you.
This is going viral.
For all the wrong
But that's the thing.
Yes.
If that cop lost his job, by the way, control room, you don't need to send them a message they're talking out. If that cop lost his job, that is an absolute tragedy. But the point is, these cops are resigning. Why? Because in that scenario, that guy is doing nothing wrong. He brought up a fact. You're going to try and stab somebody, just like Mekhi Bryant, who, by the way, those cops may lose their jobs. And the guy is going, no, this is going viral. You were talking about a guy recently who they said stop resisting arrest, and he just said, nope.
Yeah, he said nope. So, stop it.
I guess that settles that.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'll ask again.
If that's how it
I'll put
works,
these cups away, I guess.
if that's how it worked, Oz would have been a very different show.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just be an empty old prison. There'd be no one in there. Like, what happened? Oh, no, didn't you? They all resisted arrest. Oh. All right.
Why don't somebody just come out and say, do not resist arrest? That's too easy, man.
Well, they do say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're fired. So, the D.C. Police Department, they're investigating the video, by the way. Again, yeah, like you're saying, that's part of the problem. So I don't think he lost his job. I think he's being investigated, which, why would you be investigated for saying you're going to try and stab someone like she did?
Yeah.
It just seems like it should be reasonable. Let me give you some numbers here. NYPD, 75% increase in officer departures. Minneapolis, more than 150 officers filed for disability. Most were for PTSD. Portland, emergency response team resigned after 2 officers were disciplined orders and pushing over that elderly protester. Remember that guy? And look, maybe you don't like it, but the point is, sometimes your problem is with the higher ups. Sometimes your problem is not with the officer. Yeah. Sometimes your problem is with restraint techniques that they teach the department. Seattle, at least 110 resigned by August, including the black female chief, Carmen Best. Now, and I want to know, where do you guys live out there? Let me know, and what have you seen as far as police presence? I've gotten a lot of messages from people saying, yeah, right now the response time is terrible, or cops are just really gun shy. Well, you know what? That's anecdotal, but it seems like you could make the argument that it's reflected in the crime data. So let's look at New York. We just talked about the departures. They have shootings up 97% from 2019. I don't know how you do that where they don't even let you have guns.
That's so weird. Yeah.
It's almost like a logical disconnect. Homicides, 44% increase since 2019. Burglaries, 42% up from 2019. If you're going to be burglar, though, I would rather it be in the UK because they still use burgled as a verb.
Oh. Burgled.
You're being burgled. All right, okay. Yeah. Well, it's my wedding ring. It's more of a, it's kind of priceless, but can you say it one more time? Burgled. You're going to get your friend Grimace? Minneapolis, homicides are up 70%. From 2019, robberies up 46%, arson up 69%, and I think that one's important because Minneapolis,
that's
the whole city was ablaze. Yeah, it's like left behind.
It'll be down next year, most likely.
Yeah. Well, because it'll be ashes. Yeah,
there's nothing left to burn. Yeah, exactly.
And out of Minneapolis will rise the city of Phoenix. Buffalo. Homicides up 40%, shootings up 90%, Seattle, homicides up 48%, arson up 55%, burglary up 35%, Portland, shootings up 129%, homicides up 52%. This is something, and we have all the sources available, again, at louderwithcrowder.com. This is undeniable. You have to look at police resigning, an emboldened criminal underground right now throughout the United States, and cops not being able to do their job. This is how you ended up with Dirty Harry and Charles Bronson, Death Wish, that series of films, when people felt like, oh, law enforcement, they can't do their job, their hands are tied, and law-abiding citizens start getting sick of it. This is not a good thing. Yeah. It's really a bad thing, especially when you look at the Democrats in power, have tried to tie this to race, that all the cops resigning is because they're white supremacists. Well, hold on a second. A lot of them are black. But if you say that, then what are you saying about the crime? You are now implying that all the crime is being committed by black Americans. Yeah. This is the problem when you see everything through the prism of race. It's almost like they're trying to stoke racial division. And I don't want to attribute motive, but if you were to try and divide this country and get white people and black people to dislike each other, brother against brother, if you were trying to devise a plan, I don't think you could create one more effective than locking everybody in their homes, completely decimating the economy, labeling all enforcers of law and order as white supremacists, and sympathizing exclusively with criminals who you allow to return to crime in a revolving door, to the point where citizens who had never even thought, that the idea of racism had never crossed their mind, now start feeling like they need to keep their head in a swivel for someone who's black or an officer who's white.
Yeah, if that's what they believe, because that's everything they hear from CNN, they hear it from everybody on the news, they hear it from everybody on social media, that these things are true. They hear from LeBron James that you're next, right? The accountability stuff that he said. Of course you're going to say, oh, well, we have to get rid of the police. Well, when you get rid of the police, guess what happens? Yeah. Somebody will fill the void.
Well, let's do a mental exercise here, too. So we've just sort of outlined how if you were trying to create a plan to divide people, and create tensions in this country that we've never seen before, you couldn't have devised it more effectively. Yeah. But if you were to try and create a solution right now, okay, what would you be looking to accomplish? Okay, you would be looking to ease tensions, specifically in communities of color.
Heavy metal is definitely another classic. And they did 2 heavy metals, and then they did the Netflix Love, Death, and Robots, which was supposed to be another iteration of heavy metal, but they just, I don't know, gave it its own realm or whatever. But they say there's another set of those are coming out too, that Love, Death, and Robots.
Black people, right, with police officers. You would say, okay, we need to try and have some out. Well, you can't do that now because record low applicants of black people applying for the force right now, because why would they want to be a part of white supremacy? Right? You'd want to have people be less violent with police officers and hopefully get to the point where fewer people are resisting arrest. Not going to have that happen because you've told everybody the second they get arrested by a cop, they have an open license to shoot you and hunt you. So now you have people who are going to resist arrest even more violently. Yeah. You would want to have more people. When you talk about police departments, right, and you say, hey, look, what are more effective methods? The Gracie's just talked about some risk assessment with jiu-jitsu, not only injuries incurred by officers when they learned how to subdue opponents, but also by the perpetrators, by the victims in some of these circumstances themselves. So if you were to say, okay, we want to have better relations between these police departments and the community, well, that's out. We want to have fewer people resist arrest. Well, that's out. We want better police training. Oh, but sorry, you defunded them. And case in point, if you want to see this working in real time, let's go to Portland, who right now they've seen record high crime. We just went through all sources available, louderwithcrowder.com. I just repeated ad nauseum because other people don't give you their sources. And now they have record low police funding, of course, applicants. They're losing police officers. And now the Portland mayor, Ted Wheeler, not to be confused with Ted Liu, you'll be able to tell by the video clip, just told, unless you're colorblind, in which case, good for you. Yeah. He just had this to say about Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Now he's taking a stand.
Our job is to unmask them,
to shave,
arrest them, and prosecute them. I want to personally thank neighbors, family, friends, and others who've come forward with vital evidence. People know who these criminals are. They know what they're up to. If you have any information, please contact the police. Acting Chief Davis will provide specifics shortly.
Acting
I
Chief.
also want you to know that these people often arrive at their so-called direct actions in cars, and they're all dressed in all black. If you see this,
can you name them?
Police. If you can provide a license plate, if you can do so safely, that information can help later. Together, We can make a stand. We're doing what we can today. I'm also asking for your help to make a stand and take our city back.
I just love it.
Totally reading the teleprompter.
He's reading the teleprompter. It's We Can Take Us Today. They dress in black.
What?
Who dresses in black?
The perpetrators.
Call the police. Get a license plate. Wait. Are you encouraging people to report to the police so they can pull folks over? Well, you were defunding the police.
Yeah.
It's a really stark contrast. Again, now he's saying we need to take a stand. He's tough on crime. Let's compare it to what he was saying when the riots were starting and raging.
Stand with you no matter what.
No matter what.
If wants to tear gas against you,
that looks really
they're
bad.
wanting to tear gas against me.
Okay.
They still booed him.
Fire away. Like, boo. I would have loved to see like a canister of tear gas bounce off of his chest at that moment.
With you no matter. Boo. This shit no
It's like playing whack-a-mole.
You feel like after that, there's someone there just going, oh, well, good job. Hand him a bunch of tickets and he got a wooden airplane.
Yeah.
Like a stuffed animal. It's awesome.
Yeah, if you hit 5,000 ANTFA members, you get this novelty slap bracelet. Well, there goes our Dave & Buster's sponsorship.
Yeah.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Tired of searching for the lowest service prices? We'll make it easy. At Ken Pollock Tire and Auto Center, we offer $9.95 oil changes all day, every day. Yes, only $9.95, and we service all makes and all models. Need tire?
So I assume you're all here to talk about the early work of Carl Jung and this man's carnivorous diet and the Soviet art he collects. No, in all seriousness, I'm really excited to be here with you. We've never met before. Your official title is that you are a clinical psychologist and a professor at the University of Toronto. You've written 2 books, one called Maps of Meaning and the best-selling 12 Rules for Life, which is currently being translated into 40 languages. But this description does not capture what you've become, which is a kind of phenomenon.
Oh, shit.
When I was reading 12 Rules for Life in a cafe in the locker room of my gym, it was sitting out on a bench, people were coming up to me and saying, this book saved my life. And yet there are other people in the country, including some of my fellow journalists, who insist that you were actually a gateway drug to the far right. So I'm excited to be here with you. Not the myth of you, but with the man. And I'm hoping we can use this hour or so to talk about your views on meaning, on gender, on feminism, God, higher education. I'm sure we can solve all of that in under an hour. So I want to start with the book 12 Rules for Life, which I'm hoping some of you have read. Here are some of the messages in that book. Gender isn't a social construct. People should strive for meaning in their lives, not happiness. Life is suffering, but there are ways to transcend it. Stand up straight. Make your bed. Now, all of this to me seems pretty commonsensical. And yet, I don't think that there is a Canadian in the world that I've read more think pieces about. I don't think it's a stretch to say that you are sort of the most loved and loathed public intellectual in the Western world at the moment. So I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about what that's like and your understanding of it. You've just come from 2 days in Vancouver where, on an event with Sam Harris, talking for over 2 hours about the question of truth. And 5,000 people showed up to those events, not exactly a sexy Beyonce concert. What's going on? How do you understand it and your place in it?
Well, I think you don't want to underestimate the role that technological transformation is playing in this. You know, I've been thinking about YouTube and podcasts quite intensely for about 2 years. So I started putting my university lectures on YouTube in 2013. And I did that for a variety of reasons, mostly curiosity, because and the drive to learn. And I've found that if I want to learn a technology, the best way to do it is to use it. And I'm always learning new technologies because, well, not that that makes me particularly unique, but, and I had some success with my lectures on public television in Canada. So I did some lectures with a series called Big Ideas on Canadian public television. And there's about 200 of those lectures, and I did 5 of them. 200 done by 200 different people, but I did 5 of them. And they were regularly in the top 10 of the most viewed lectures. And so I knew that there was some broader market for, let's say, ideas. And I thought, well, I might as well put my lectures up on YouTube and see what happens. And then by April of 2016, I had 1 million views. And I thought, huh. The only reason people are watching these is because they want to watch them, because they're actually really hard. And 1 million of something is a lot. If you sell 1 million copies of your book, well, first of all, that never happens, right? I mean, it's very, very rare. You're very happy. You never have your scientific papers cited 1 million times. You rarely have $1 million. It's a very large number. And I thought,
well, this room accepted. But
well, fair enough. Fair enough. And of course, it's not as uncommon as it once was, but it's still a significant number. And I didn't really have any way of calibrating that. I thought, well, what am I supposed to do now that I hit 1 million views? How am I supposed to conceptualize that? What is this YouTube thing anyways that was once a repository for cute cat videos? So what does it mean to have 1 million views on it? And I thought, and so I really started to think about it because, you know, and there were a lot of people commenting as well, and they were into the lectures and following them avidly. And I thought, okay, so what is this YouTube exactly? And I thought, well, for the first time in human history, the spoken word has the same reach as the written word. And not only that, no leg to publication and no barrier to entry. That's a major technological revolution. That's a Gutenberg revolution. That's a big deal. This is a game changer. And then it was soon after that that I discovered the podcast world, which is about 10 times as big as the YouTube world. And the podcast world is also a Gutenberg revolution, except it's even more extensive, because the problem with books and videos is that you can't do anything else while you're doing them, right? When you're reading, you're reading. When you're watching a video, you know, you can be distracted, but you have to pay attention to the video. But if you're listening to a podcast, you can be driving a forklift or a long-haul truck, or you can be exercising or doing the dishes. And so what that means is that podcasts free up, say, 2 hours a day for people to engage in educational activities that they wouldn't otherwise be able to engage in, and that's about 1/8 of people's lives. So podcasts hand people 1/8 of their life back to engage in high-level education. So then I thought, well, people actually want to do this. There's a massive market for high-level intellectual engagement that's much deeper and more desperate, let's say, than anyone suspected. We really saw that in Vancouver. You know, I mean, the discussion I had with Sam Harris, the 2 discussions, we talked about the relationship between facts and values, was really and science and religion more peripherally. But the dialogue was conducted at the level, I would say, approximately at the level of a pretty rigorous PhD defense. And we were only supposed to talk for an hour and then go to Q&A, but the crowd didn't want us to stop. And so we talked the first night for 2.5 hours and the second night for 2.5 hours, and the crowd was 100% on board the entire time. And it wasn't because Sam was winning or I was winning. Neither of us, in fact, were trying to win. We were trying to learn something, and we were actually trying to learn something. We weren't just pretending to do that. And, you know, the place erupted at the end. And I think one of the things I've realized in the last couple of days as I've been thinking this through is that the narrow bandwidth of TV has made us think we're stupider than we are. And so people have a real hunger for deep intellectual dialogue, and that can be met with these new technologies, and that has revolutionary significance, and that's starting to unfold.
I wonder about, you love to quote this line, this Nietzsche line, that anyone who has a why to live for can endure almost any how.
Yeah.
What's your why? What is driving you? You are the most busy man. I mean, to get you here, you know, I think you're like wherever you were last night, in Portland tomorrow. Like, I don't know how you're alive, frankly, right now. What is driving you? Like, what is this relentless drive? What are you pushing toward?
I'm trying to, well, when I spent 15 years writing the first book I wrote, which is called Maps of Meaning, and it's akin to 12 Rules to Life, although it's a much more difficult book. The audio version of that book is out now, by the way. It's been out since June 12th, and I would, if you like 12 Rules or you were interested in it, then you could try that. I think the audio version is much more accessible because it's a difficult book. Getting the cadences of the sentences right is an aid to comprehension. I spent 15 years writing that book, about 3 hours a day writing, and a lot more time reading, and I was interested in solving a problem, which was I was interested in the great atrocities of the 20th century, the ones that were committed on the right and the ones that were committed on the left, but I was interested in them psychologically. And what that meant was, had I been there, what could have I done to not participate? And so that's what I've been trying to figure out. Because for me, what happened in Nazi Germany and what happened in the Gulag Archipelago and in Maoist China, many places, was sufficient definition of hell. Convincing as well. And I wanted to understand what the opposite of that was. And not sociologically or politically or economically, because I think that in the final analysis those levels of explanation are insufficient. But psychologically, how is it that you must conduct yourself in the world so that if the opportunity to participate in such things arises, you won't? And, you know, when the Holocaust museums went up, there was a motto that went along with them, which was never forget. And I thought, yeah, fair enough, but you can't remember what you don't understand. And so I wanted to understand it, but I wanted to understand it. You see, when people read history, they either read it as a detached observer, or they tend to read it as, well, maybe the heroic protagonist. People like to imagine that they would be Schindler in Schindler's List, but that's wrong. So, because the probability that you'll be the perpetrator is much higher, especially merely the perpetrator who's ensconced in silence when silence is not the appropriate thing. So I wanted to, having figured out what constituted hell and the pathway to that, which would be, I suppose, the cowardice and resentment that produces either complicitness in those events or failure to oppose them when they emerge, I wanted to understand what the opposite of that was. Because I think that's what needs to be learned from what happened in the 20th century. And so that's why I wrote Maps of Meaning, was to understand that and to lay out what the opposite was. And then that turned out to be extremely helpful to me and then to the people I started to teach about that, because it's useful to know what the opposite of hell is. And I've been teaching those things to people since 1993, so that's 25 years. And the response from the students has always been the same sort of response that I'm getting now, absent some of the negative characterizations, let's say, which have emerged for particular reasons. But the students have always said one of two things, and this is the vast majority of them. This isn't cherry-picked responses. It's been the same everywhere. They tell me, and this is the same response I get from my audiences now too.
Yep, I'm just about to close up. Right.
Give me words to explain things, to explain.